Welcome back to The Edge. Headlines that we're covering this news break. Microsoft announces Clarity free website analytics. Does Google antitrust case make an Apple search engine more likely? And what does passage indexing and natural language processing mean for the future of SEO? Today on our digital news roundup here on The Edge.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
All right, so welcome to the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web. This is the bonus news podcast of the Dixon Jones episode of Edge of the Web. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks of Site Strategics. So thanks for joining us on our podcast or our video cast here. Joining me this week to get his take on the news of the day is Dixon Jones, CEO of nlinks.net. Welcome to the show, Dixon.
How are you, Aaron? Are you well?
I am. Thanks for joining us. I am sorry. We've tried to get you on a couple of times, and it didn't really work out.
COVID, I honestly, I think you were just trying to avoid me, which is okay. I understand that. My wife tries to do that all the time as well.
She actually locks herself in her bedroom for 10 days to avoid you.
We had a flu jab about a week ago, and then she went out to Norwich the other day and came back with a cold. So I'm pretty sure it's not COVID, but we've got a test going and we're locked in right now. So yes, I am in my COVID hole.
So that said, where are you hailing from right now?
So I'm in Bedfordshire in the UK, right in the middle of the UK. Mm-hmm. If you know Hobbiton from Lord of the Rings,
yep.
That little kind of Shires kind of feel. That's where I live.
That's beautiful. Truly,
we live in caves here.
Truly a COVID hobbit hole. Excellent.
Yeah, it is.
Are you familiar with Biggleswade there?
Yes, it's just down the road. It's not far away at all.
Fantastic. Well, that's where my mom's from, and it's a pretty cool thing. I remember walking down there when I was 9 years old. It's a beautiful little place.
It's not. We're actually we're trying to sell our house here, and we're just moving in the village. I'm not moving out the village, but the ones who want to buy it are actually from Biggleswade. So so if you can big up Biggleswade, that's good. Maybe someone will go and buy the house.
Yep. Well, I mean, we're trying to build that market up in Biggleswade. I actually kind of cool story here is whenever I was really, really young. The yards inside of Biggleswade are postage stamp. They're just tiny, tiny, tiny things. And there was a trend during that period of time, and I'm not going to show my age, but hey, it was way back when. But literally, they all these little yards had miniature villages in them, just tiny scaled. I mean, you'd see maybe 6 or 7 small
model villages.
Villages. It was amazing. They carve out streams and this, that, and the other. And I thought it was just magical. Being 9 years old, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that sounds fantastic.
Absolutely.
They're not there anymore, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, shit. You just completely burst my bubble. Thanks so much.
Sorry, man. I know. But now we have scarecrow evenings, so like we put scarecrows around and do that sort of thing every now and then. So, they're easier to make,
And
I think
more creepy too. What's going on?
Yeah,
there?
probably.
All right. I tell you what, let's dive into our first article here from Search Engine Journal from Roger Monti. Always love his stuff there. Microsoft actually announces a brand new free website analytics tool called Clarity. Microsoft announces the free analytics tool that actually shows exactly what users are doing on your site while respecting their privacy. So first and foremost is that this does actually comply with all GDPR laws around the world. And they also are citing that it's a very low impact on page load time. So there's no traffic cap to this. You can have 1 million visitors coming to your site a day, and it's optimized not to slow sites down. So this tool set, yet another analytics program. We've never seen it coming out of Microsoft. But here's what's really interesting about this is that they actually are providing session playbacks, heat maps, and insights, an insight dashboard. Now here's the thing: session playbacks. If you're not familiar with that. If you've ever used, there's a company called Hotjar, which is a fantastic tool to be able to analyze interactions on a site, and it's basically a movie. As you actually navigate the site, you can actually see the user navigating the site, the different navigation, different text elements, different navigational buttons, and it's kind of creepy, but at the same time, it shows you such a world of experience, just understanding the usability of your website. Dixon, have you come across these type of user sessions before?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, but never for free. Well, I mean, actually, I think Hotjar did have a free try for a month kind of thing, and I think what a lot of people did was go in, get an idea of what the users were doing, and then run away with it. But
sure.
I mean, to put it in a free product like this is really interesting. I think that Microsoft. They've tried this before. When Google bought Urchin, I'm old, and turned it into Google Analytics. The others ran around, and so basically at the time, Microsoft bought Deep Metrics, I think it was called, and made it free. And Yahoo bought Index Tools, which I was using when I was running an agency back then, and that was really annoying because I was charging my customers for the analytics, and then all of a sudden it was free. And also Yahoo didn't like all these resellers, so it's kind of a bit of a pain. Yep. But Deep Metrics never quite took off. They couldn't compete with Google Analytics. So it's really good to see that there's a new game in town. It's going to hurt. There's another product out there, an open source product called Matomo, which I kind of like, but and that's open source and free, and so you can actually put it on your own servers, and that's kind of useful. But I think that Microsoft have probably got a chance of breaking into the analytics market now with the Hotjar kind of thing and the Crazy Egg kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do feel sorry for Hotjar and for Crazy Egg.
Oh my
now.
gosh, yeah.
All this innovation that people come up with, and then somebody takes it, makes it free, and kills your business model. That I don't like. That's what I don't like about big companies. They can sit there and give you millions and millions of pounds, and obviously they're going to make this money back in user understanding, or people knowing what customers are doing somewhere, even if it is GDPR friendly, which is a good thing. Absolutely a good thing.
It does make sense that they'd actually use that data to be able to learn about the sites that actually use it. But what a great offering. Microsoft's always been trying to challenge the big dog, and this is not a full-scale analytics program that we're looking at like Google Analytics 4. This is very tactical. This is a user experience tool set. You can even filter, what's really cool, some of the screen grabs on this article, you can filter by what time frame people visited, the page count, the session count. They can also go by cursor movement, as well as any other insights like dead links, excessive scrolling, rage clicks, literally RAGE. People that are pissed off.
Angry birds. Yeah, angry people. Yeah.
I would like to actually know who's raging on the site. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess there's the number of times you got something that looks like a button and it isn't. It's good.
Absolutely.
But then there's going to be people sort of challenging for the biggest rage click score. So we're putting non-clickable buttons on the site just to show off our rage click scores. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, I like it whenever Roger comes out with an article. It's well worth a read because he really tries to go into some depth with ideas.
Absolutely.
So and I think it will make a difference. It's good to have another approach to analytics because I think Google's was getting a bit clunky for me.
Yeah, you better believe it. Yes, Jacob, what you got?
Question in the booth.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see. I skimmed the article. Is this going to show all user data or only people coming through a Microsoft search or perhaps through a Microsoft browser?
That is a great question. I believe it's all users.
I thought it would. I would have thought it would.
I wouldn't expect them to just show Microsoft users. That would be such a shot in the foot to themselves.
So do we think then it's free because it's going to be used to help build their next version of whatever they're trying to make their search engine?
I think they're just trying to get anybody in their sandbox.
Could be too.
It's like free candy. Come on out, come over.
It looks amazing. So,
well, because this is on the back of them sort of showing backlinks in their search console and improving all of that sort of stuff. So they're being quite aggressive at trying to do stuff that is going to hopefully make web developers, SEOs, UX guys kind of pay attention to what Microsoft is doing, sort of around the back door, so to speak, rather because doing it head on is hard. People are still using Google search engine instead of Microsoft's.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a good question there, but I think it's going to be all users. They're trying to endear themselves to the SEOs and the developers of the world. And to your point, Dixon, this next article, what a great segue from Search Engine Land by Greg Sterling. He always has rich content as well. Does the Google antitrust case make an Apple search engine more likely? I mean, you were just mentioning trying to carve away a little bit more percentage of the search traffic. This DOJ, this Department of Justice case that just sprung up last week, may cause Apple to accelerate its plans for its own search engine. Now, we've heard in the wind for a number of weeks now their intent there. When they will actually launch a full-blown search engine. The question has actually been subject of debate for several years. But recent developments, this case may actually accelerate any plans Apple has to go it alone in search. Now, one could argue that Siri is a search engine, right? It's a natural language processing search engine, right?
Yeah, it's rubbish. It's absolutely it's terrible. It's terrible. Every morning I try and all it's good for is me setting my alarms for my Zoom calls of the day. That's what it's good for at the moment.
That's funny.
So I hope they do better. So are they going to start? I mean, you're right. The rumors have abounded, and I saw something in today's Financial Times as well. Although, since I'm not subscribed to the Financial Times, I couldn't read the details. But the fact that the Financial Times is talking about it as well is another layer of speculation. And I think there's a few things weighing up here. Firstly, yes, they'll do it, but I think it'll take them a while to try and compete, with the sort of Google.com to Apple.com search. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they'll play within their own ecosystem. They'll make it very hard if they do launch, they'll make it very, very hard for you to use anything but theirs in the Mac or on a phone. But I think that at the same time, it's a big to lose. I think Google's in there as a default engine at the moment. And they're paying. Did Greg Sterling say $8 billion or something like that for a year?
$8 billion a year. Absolutely.
And this is incredible. And they to do that, they put that much up there because they had to get Microsoft out, so they had to get Bing out of it.
Yep.
So clearly, Apple's got search. They've got market share that they can tap into.
Right.
But if they're going to do their own one, they're going to lose $8 billion a year. So they've got to have a money model to back that up as well.
and not just for a few years. That has to be a 10-year, 20-year plan right there. Again, I'm no financial whiz at all, but I mean that's a huge leap off into consumer trust. And to your sentiment that you just expressed, Siri is rubbish. Apple Maps suck. So I mean, on top of that, the Apple Home device. I mean, if you can't even launch a smart speaker, right, into the ecosystem, how are you going to launch an entire search engine?
It's well, you know what? So Majestic's got a search engine. This is my background, guys. I used to be the marketing director of Majestic, and if you put a keyword into Majestic, it's a search engine. It's not pretending to be a search engine, but it works. So as long as you can crawl the web and then map the web, that's the important bit. Then it's doable. I think though. Apple really needs to have the whole thing end to end right, and at launch, and they seem to be quite cagey about it all now. But of course, the antitrust thing is really interesting, and I think Greg Sterling's point of the whole antitrust thing that's coming to the US courts is interesting. Microsoft back in the days when there was Netscape and their browser, Internet Explorer wars, I thought was really that went on for years and years and years and years. So given that this has only just started, I think we've got a good 3 years until something happens with that one. So there's time.
There is time. Apple did release some of its information regarding its ranking algorithm in an AppleBot document. It says it lays out the following ranking variables: aggregated user engagement with search engines, with search results, relevancy and matching of search terms to web page topics and content, number of quality links and other other pages of the web, user location-based signals, and web page design characteristics. As generic as you can possibly get.
It sounds like all the same signals that Google uses then.
Yeah, well, yeah, plus about 200 more. So, I mean, that again, they're being cagey. They're not going to actually roll this up. But they did hire, I mean, they did hire back in 2018, Google Senior VP of Engineering, John Gianandra, to run the company's machine learning and AI group. So they poached him back 2 years ago, and he also took charge of Siri. So, I mean, there have been plans in the works for a heck of a long time to be able to build this.
Sure. But they've obviously kept it. I mean, I know that the rumors have been out there, but there's been no screenshots leaked. There's been nothing. But I suppose Apple have always been really good at controlling that flow of information. They've learned it from the iPhone launch days, really, haven't they? Of how to leak things in the right place at the right time, and they're very good at it.
Absolutely.
It's a case of wait and see, though. I mean, I'm a stoic, really, and until there's actual stuff I can do and look at and use, I don't really start to think about it too much. This speculation is. It's just a long way to have a long night, really.
Absolutely. You better believe there's somebody sweating over at Google, even if it's a long time off, because I mean, with the DOJ, this is the biggest suit that's starting to crop up against Google, and that's a whole other conversation right there.
Well, they've had some big court cases go against them in Europe, especially in France. They've had some massive ones. So, and they, so I think they got to rethink personal data privacy for sure.
Absolutely. All right, take a break real quick. Let's talk about our sponsor. We continue to sponsor for the Edge. Ahrefs is a fantastic tool for competitive analysis. Their tools show you how competitors are getting their traffic from Google and why. You can see the pages, the content that actually send them the most search traffic, as well as the exact words that they're ranking for and which backlinks are helping them rank. From there, you can actually replicate or improve on their strategies. They also have a fantastic webmasters tool that's free, and you got to clamor onto that because it is a huge offering that they actually rolled out here. They've been a long-term sponsor for the show. We certainly appreciate the relationship. Ahrefs.com. Join them over there. They actually have a trial period, 7 days for $7. You have the entire application. Free, not free, but $7, almost free, and you can see all the different areas: the site audit, the link tools, the analysis, and much more. So ahrefs.com. You'll swim in great data, just like we do here at Site Strategics. All right, jumping into our last article from Search Engine Land, and this is really kind of dialed into Dixon and his passions here. What passage indexing and natural language processing mean for the future of SEO? Now, this is from George Wynn over at Search Engine Land. Huge fan of George, and he's always rattling the cage out there of what's happening right now. We're going to be talking about that today. Taken in totality, Google's recent announcement on its expanding use of natural language understanding algorithms represent a major evolution in how it determines what content gets surfaced in search results. Remember, this is a ranking announcement, not an indexing announcement, so to speak. In turn, these algorithms will impact how we approach content and optimization. So, big announcement that they rolled out there, that they're going to be ranking passages in search, not just meta content and what have you. They're indexing more of the content. The bots are actually indexing, you might actually say, a larger content window as they digest a page. So it's not just a small window of context. They're actually understanding what the passages and how they actually relate to each other. And this ties right into BERT. BERT actually is around now from 10% to 100% of all queries, all English queries, are utilizing the BERT algorithm updates as well. So Before anything else, I want to get Dixon in here as he certainly is aware of this. What does this mean to SEOs far and wide?
I think the thing it means most is if you haven't got your head around entities yet, you're screwed now. I mean, people have been saying, it's topics, it's not keywords for a few years,
Sure.
And it's only really been in the last 12 months, I'd say, that tools have come out, InLinks obviously being one of them. Hey, that is really understanding things around concepts and topics.
Yep.
I suppose Majestic did topics a while back as well. But really that entity analysis and that entity extraction is so key now to how you're going to need to put content together. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that that we see is that if you want to talk about, let's say you want to talk about horseshoes, then if you want to talk about horseshoes in the context of good luck charms, there's a whole different set of entities that you should be talking about than if you want to talk about horseshoes in the context of, ponies and horses and barns. Mm-hmm. So being able to see a knowledge graph and see what ideas are semantically close to each other is really important. And obviously Google have been doing that a huge amount as well. So they're going to have a pretty good idea of what ideas should be congruent, next to each other in a passage of text, right, to give meaning to a particular, query result. So I think it's, you said it's not an indexing algorithm, but the thing is they probably do have to index a little bit differently to get to this point. And I think it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to hundreds of thousands of people coming along and killing my server now, because being able to build a knowledge graph of data is not something that most tools are able to do. So that's right. It's nice that Google see it my way now.
That's awesome. No, and let me correct myself. It is an indexing change. They're indexing the paragraphs, but there's a direct result to search results and what's actually happening there. So you're right in the lane, Dixon, of understanding, of being in the space regarding entities and relationships. And we've been seeing the knowledge graphs building over time, the rich snippets building over time. Google's trying to interpret the web to a much greater degree and understand the contextual nature of knowledge, of concepts, of ideas, and we absolutely want to dig that in and go and dig into that on the interview itself. But a great article from George. It really does encapsulate, and these are some hefty articles that the kind of the influencers in our market are playing. Dawn Anderson had another one that was really good and unpacked a lot as it relates to BERT as well.
I love Dawn, honestly. I love Dawn, but she makes my head hurt.
She kind of scares me, man. She kind of scares me.
And as soon as I come up with a counterpoint, she'll just give me 5 different research articles to go and read. It's impressive, but it's hard work keeping up with Dawn.
Absolutely. But what great fountains of information nowadays in SEO. I mean, it's almost like we're all now AI machine learning scientists wanting to contribute and be able to start creating better and better tool sets, right?
I think there's a lot of data out there. This is my nighttime reading right now. So this is a 1,000-page book on artificial intelligence. This is, but the thing is, it's by a guy called Stuart Russell, who I don't know, but Peter Norvig is director of research at Google. So he's right up there, and he's got whole chapters on natural language processing, whole chapters on how Kasparov got beaten by IBM Blue. But it's hard reading for sure. But there's so much maths and data down there in this that's available if you can be bothered to get off your backside and start reading.
Well, we've got plenty of time during our COVID season, right?
Yeah, your producer said that I should just do an audit, an audit version, a vocal version of this, and just read it. So
here's the Edge challenge. We're actually going to challenge all our listeners to read that 1,000-page textbook. It's a wonderfully bound textbook. Let's just the first one that can actually read the entire thing. Right? We're going to get them on the show.
No, too late. Dawn's already done it. I'm sure she has.
All right. So we certainly want to dive into our interview. That's it for The Edge this week. Be sure to check out the full interview with Dixon Jones linked to this podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updated whenever we get that content out to you. We're breaking these things into more and more digestible, snackable tidbits for your daily commute. So check out our YouTube channel and our podcast. From all of us over at Edge, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.